Hello, my name is Megan O'Russell.
And my name is Christopher Russell, and welcome back to Page by Page, Writing the Book in Real Time. This is episode 9. And yes, once again, I'm just going to keep reiterating because it feels worth repeating. That does mean that we are reading chapter 8 today. So just a little bit of housekeeping before we jump into this. We just attended the Baltimore Comic-Con this weekend. It was such a blast. Thank you so much for coming over, saying hi. I met so many new people. And if you're one of those new people listening or watching, thank you so much for your support. And a special thank you to Brittany. Brittany, you were amazing. It was so great seeing you.
I'm so sorry I didn't get to meet you.
Yeah. So Megan, you wanted to be completely clear and honest about this. So what happened?
So I'm so sorry I didn't get to go to Baltimore because I do have lupus, and sometimes I push myself too hard, and then my body decides that it no longer thinks that I should do the whole surviving pleasantly thing. So I had a pretty bad lupus flare for a few days, and so that's kind of why I look a bit like a steaming poop right now.
You don't look like steaming poop.
You said.
I said your eyes were
your
worse.
Eyes.
I worry about you.
Are we gonna video today?
Oh my goodness. Oh man.
So I was stuck in bed for a couple days, and I'm still kind of like a little on the fence. So sorry.
You were stuck in bed for 3 days.
Yeah.
It was 3 days.
It was a long time, but I am showered. I smell so much better. I am feeling better.
Yes.
I still have a headache that has not gone away in a really long time, but I am alive. I am kicking, so that's what matters. And I'm so sorry I missed Baltimore.
Yeah, and those of you watching, you may notice, or you might even be able to hear the difference, but we are not in our usual recording location because we are currently in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
The great thing about this is we get to visit friends, so that's fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, so thank you again to everybody who stopped by. I had a great time. I'm sorry that you couldn't come. It was awesome. The cosplay was on point.
I really
the Krampuses, Crampodes. I don't know.
I like Crampodes.
Crampodes. I mean, like that would be Greek, right? But like Krampus is German, so. Yeah.
I
have no idea.
I don't know about these things.
If you know the answer, please leave a message in the comments or email us at megan@meganorussell.com. All right. So before we get into it, and of course, Megan will not be joining me for the beer of the week, just, out of pure precaution because we don't.
It doesn't even sound appealing.
Well, I mean, but the thing is this is the first time that you've had coffee in 4 days,
which says a lot
because you live on coffee.
Coffee addict.
Yeah, you are Spencer from Pretty Little Liars.
Yes, when we were at the theater all day, every day this summer, we got me a single serving Keurig that I would carry into the building.
One of our students called our emotional support Keurig.
It was my emotional support Keurig because I needed more coffee, so I did carry my Keurig with me. But here it is. It's my first coffee back, and it feels like a triumph.
It is a triumph. It is a triumph. Before I cheers you, just to introduce this is Baked Pumpkin from a local brewery, Lancaster Brewing Company, and I love this. I love this pumpkin beer, and it is officially fall.
And some of their food is really good.
Oh man!
Wait, that's the one with the meatloaf. The meatloaf.
The meatloaf.
Is it the meatloaf?
It's the one with the meatloaf.
But is that the one with the meatloaf?
It is the one with the meatloaf, yes.
Meatloaf. Yes. So if you're local to Lancaster, I highly recommend their meatloaf.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
It's
and their
good.
Potatoes that go with it.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good food.
You can tell I'm feeling better because
you want food. Yeah.
Meatloaf and potatoes.
Well, I mean, maybe tomorrow we can convince your mom to go out there. I don't know. There's got some really good food.
They really do.
Okay. What? Cheers. Cheers to you getting better, but feeling better than you were. Okay, so before we jump into this week's reading, why don't you catch us up on what has happened? You don't have to do like the full thing so far, but maybe what happened last week.
Okay.
Is this where I do the...
No, I want real music. Okay, pause and insert.
No, I'm not inserting.
No, it is. Pause and insert the real music.
No, I don't have time. There's no time to insert real music. You're adorable.
There's real music.
Yeah, there's real music.
You're in denial of the music that just
That's
played.
That's adorable. There's no music. Yeah. Okay, no music. I tell you what, this is actually a great time. What kind of theme music do you want to hear for last time on? Like, give us a like a soap opera or some kind of like teen drama, and let us know, and then I will craft something around that. There you go, because I have nothing
Okay,
this
but you
week.
have to have put something in the silence.
Oh, man.
I can't wait to hear what you had filled that silence with. Okay, so last time on Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer, Ella Day's school caught fire. So after the pretty harrowing day of her first day at Laureldale High, where her algebra teacher, when his heart stopped in class.
Algebra 2 teacher. Sorry,
yes.
just, yeah.
Very important.
Yes.
His heart stopped in class, and she helped to get him to the hospital so he could be resuscitated. And then it is day 2. She goes into school. She's being dragged into an auditorium to be thanked for helping to take care of this teacher who was sick, which is putting her in front of a bunch of people, which is not what she wants. And then the school catches fire. Oh, wait, I forgot something important.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So backtrack a little. Before she goes to the assembly, there are 4 envelopes taped to her locker telling her to choose her path, and she chooses the kindness path. So that is the path she is on.
That is. Now I'm going to just to catch us up even
what did
more.
I forget?
No. You gave the chapter prior to last week's. So after that, Jason has taken her to the Argo.
That was a whole other chapter?
Yeah.
This is how well my brain's...
I know.
Oh, so last time... Sorry to everyone. Wait, are we going to cut that part, or are you leaving it?
Oh, no, I'm leaving it. Because it was hilarious.
Okay, so then last time... This is 2 chapters worth. Okay, so last time... Jason got Ella to the Argo, which is the cafe bookstore, basically business of my dreams in Laureldale.
Yeah.
So they have like a little conservatory. They can do indie movies. They have
Spoiler alert: there is a projector like on the front porch. Is that where it is?
No, it's in the front cafe.
It's in the front cafe. Okay.
Yeah, they have a porch with couches.
Man.
They have a little cocktail bar.
Do they have board games?
I'm sure they do.
Do they have Settlers of Catan?
I will write in board
If not,
games.
I am not
they
interested.
can have Settlers of Catan
Thank you.
nights. It
All
can
right.
be there. But it's the business of my dreams. So
Yeah.
he gets her there. She sees him going through the cafe, and she realizes that it is one of the visions that she had before, but she doesn't know if she should stop it, and she doesn't have time to stop it. She overhears him having a fight with his mom about his dad not having called to tell his mom that the school was on fire or that Jason was, okay, which is super awkward.
Yeah.
So then Ella sneaks away being like, I didn't hear any of this. And she ends up looking at the liquor bar because, when your mom is one of the best, Etherean bartenders, you're like, that's top shelf stuff. So then Jason comes to her. She pretends she doesn't know anything. They go into the conservatory where she gets to see a lovely vision that goes into the past.
Lovely is an air quotes.
Of a couple who is fornicating in a very...
Are they a couple? I get the sense they're not a couple.
There's a duo fornicating
Okay, all right.
in an unpleasant, in a less than arousing way.
This is going to be a very interesting episode because your synapses are firing so slow and mine are like rapid speed right now. And I don't know why. Maybe it was the apple cider donut I had earlier.
Oh, I shouldn't let you have sugar. But so she sees this vision. The girl gets a text message mid fornication. She shoves the man away and takes off. He's mad that he did not to finish said fornication. I'm sorry, this episode is going to be, this is as well as my brain is doing. And so he picks up a planter and chucks it through a window. Ella finishes her vision and she comes back to the world to find Paige warning Jason that Violet has come to the Argo.
Yeah, so...
was that the correct chapter?
That was the correct chapter. Well done.
That seems like the longest summary. I'm so sorry, y'all.
No, look, it's okay. So we just if we don't have as much time as usual to talk at the end, that is okay.
Okay.
That is okay.
We should switch to just you talking so that I'm not rambling anymore because...
No. The ramble is amazing. It's good for ratings, babe. It's good for ratings. Okay. So all that
behind my weird side bang.
All right. So with all of that, without any further ado, here is
Much Ado About Werewolves. Sorry.
Much Ado About Werewolves.
Sorry.
That is now the new name of the chapter. Name of the chapter. Oh, should we actually say what the name of the chapter is? Or do you want it to be that?
I kind of like
that
Werewolves.
too. Much Ado About Werewolves. Okay, great.
Yeah, we're going to rename it.
I love that. Okay, awesome.
So that's the new...
All right, so here's Chapter 8, Much Ado About Werewolves. So Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer, Chapter 8. Facing a werewolf who looks like someone just shat on their porch is never a good thing. Watching ember-hot loathing burn in a werewolf's eyes whilst standing in a room with two clueless humans takes the situation from, well, shit, to, please don't let my gruesome murder be what outs Etherians to the world. The wolf's gaze shifted to me. The wolf's gaze shifted from me to Jason, the murdery glint in her eyes brightening as she stepped toward him. Werewolf not diving for my throat, pleasant turn of events. Werewolf looking like she's about to rip out Jason's jugular? What the fuck did he do to piss off a werewolf that badly? And how the hell is Jason Archer still alive? Not your problem. The conservatory window I'd just watched smash in the less than appealing X-rated vision had been repaired, leaving the doorway where Danger Wolf lingered as my only exit. Danger Wolf. But angry, no-condom dude had managed to break the glass with a planter. I could manage it too. Smash the window and do what, Ella? Violet. Jason nodded to the werewolf in a way I doubt he would have dared if he understood pissing off a polar bear would have been a safer bet. I'm so glad you could come. Paige bustled back to Violet, an exhausting amount of enthusiasm in her voice. Have you gotten to meet Ella yet? Honestly, things have gone so far off course with Welcome Week, my checklist of classmate introductions has gone to hell. There's a checklist? I snuck a step toward the nearest planter. Smash the window, run like hell, call Kate, tell her about the Teen Wolf Rampage, continue running like hell, and running and running and running until your heart explodes. How else would I know if you'd met everyone? Paige said. Jason swallowed a laugh. There are only 87 students in our class for Ella to meet. Paige shot a scowl at Jason. It's not like I'm organizing a list of thousands. I'll grab snacks. Jason pursed his lips, tipping his head away from Paige as he fled, heading toward the werewolf like Paige were the more dire threat. Sit wherever you like, Violet. He stopped beside the door, bowing her into the room and out of his way. Bad idea, bad idea. For a single heartbeat, I thought I saw Violet smile as she stepped past Jason and headed toward a wingback chair in the corner nearest the door. Wow, I'm doing well too. Pause real quick. Since Megan could not go, it was just me at the booth with some very lovely people, but man, the sensory overwhelm is real and my brain is a little bit tired. Also, while we were paused, you might notice I am not looking at my watch. That's because I'm not wearing it today. I am hoping that everything goes well with the video, but I kind of got tired of seeing myself when I was editing things, looking at my watch constantly. So we're trying this out. We'll see. What?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, going back. Jason stepped in the doorway. Yeah, let's do it. Jason stepped into the doorway. Wait, did I? Oh, no, I have to go back. For a single heartbeat, I thought I saw Violet smile as she stepped past Jason and headed toward a wingback chair in the corner nearest the door, snagging the only place that put her back to solid wall rather than glass. Jason stepped into the doorway, stopping in the place where Violet had just stood in a way I really hoped the wolf wouldn't take as a challenge. Ella, do you have a coffee preference? To go? Don't be a shit. Unless your stomach's not up for it. Jason furrowed his brow. A cappuccino would be great, I said. Jason turned, facing directly toward the wolf. Violet, would you like a coffee? Somehow, the offer of artisan coffee made the hatred in Violet's eyes glint even brighter. Juice, Jason said. Iced tea? Guys, Paige's tone held an annoying calm. We're here to welcome a new classmate and make her feel at home. You're making this feel like the kind of home that makes the wait list for a decent therapist so damn long.
I'm particularly proud of that one.
It's true, the wait list is so long. All right, anyway.
It is.
The tension in my chest had wound so tight, the H word didn't even dent the anxiety. If we need to move this event to neutral, I'll take a cappuccino too. Violet leaned back in her chair, her gaze fixed on Jason as her loathing twisted into something a little too close to satisfaction to ease the anxiety enough to let me take a full breath. No more blood. No more violence. I can't survive it. Not again. Jason shook his head and left without asking what Paige wanted. I managed to drag a hint of air into my lungs. Oh my gosh, hold on. Oh, no, where'd I put my pen?
Wait,
I have it.
Oh, I found
I have
one.
it. No, okay, I'm going to use this one.
Okay.
Sorry, I just saw something and I don't know if we want to talk about that. Let's see.
Maybe it's because my brain is working slowly, but you're terrifying me with your slow sounds right
Sorry. I'm doing that for the benefit of those listening so they don't think that I've just completely blipped, Okay. That, Thanos hasn't, well, anyway, not spoiling that. It's an old movie, but not spoiling it. Okay, where am I? Jason shook his head and left without asking what Paige wanted. I managed to drag a hint of air into my lungs. Since you two haven't met, and I don't know why everyone else isn't here yet, let's take this opportunity for you two to get to know each other. Perky desperation took the place of Paige's calm. I don't want to spoil things since we don't know which path you'll choose. Path? My mind tripped over the word, fumbling back to before the school had caught fire when I'd found 4 envelopes stuck to the front of my locker and chosen to open the one marked kindness first. Challenge I thrive on. Paige hadn't stopped talking while my mind had blipped away. I didn't know how much I'd missed. Paige took my arm, placing me in the spot on the far end of the fainting couch facing Violet, keeping her hold on my arm as we sat. Like some primal part of her knew she was facing a deadly beast, and I was the perfect living shield. Violet is one of the best musicians we have in Laureldale. Unusual for a werewolf to go the music route. Not unheard of since wolves crave a pack, and band members. She's the lead singer for Paper Scythe, Paige said. Nailed it. Next time they play, we should go together. Paige looked to Violet. Do you have anything coming up? It won't be the first... sorry, wrong character. It won't be the first Frost Ball if Paper Scythe doesn't get its submission to the committee soon. Sydney, savior Sydney, glided into the conservatory, cutting off whatever desperate attempt at conversation Paige would have tried next. Sydney even brought backup, with Andre holding her hand and Tessa following behind them with a sheepish kind of smile. Talent is great, Sydney said, but I can't select a band that hasn't expressed interest, even if that does strand me with a frickin' Crimson Ridge Wraiths as the best option. Please just get the papers in, Violet. Andre sat beside Sydney on the bench closest to the window that had been shattered. You have a duty to your community. To not subject you to the Crimson Ridge Wraiths? Violet's anxiety-inducing disposition softened to something closer to a normal student whose school had caught on fire. Should I be feeling that merciful? Provided that normal student had an undertone of, wouldn't it be fun to see how far I could spatter your intestines, to everything they say. Sydney narrowed her eyes. You submit for the first Frost Ball, I'll get you the closing slot for New Year's in the park. You fill out the forms, I'll sign them. Violet smiled. The expression, though still predatory, gave me a vague hope for everyone making it out of the conservatory without any bloodshed. Not every moment is worthy of paranoia, Ella. Deal, Sydney said. That's one massive worry off the list. Not worry, Paige said. Helping prepare our community for special events is one of the many opportunities offered through Laureldale High's volunteer programs. Sorry, for a second, I didn't know what I'd said. Not worry, not worry, Paige said. Helping prepare our community for special events is one of the many opportunities offered through Laureldale High's volunteer programs. You sound creepy, Sydney said. Your card was worse, Paige said. Andre tried to twist his laugh into a cough, earning himself a smack on the chest from Sydney. Kindness Path is your day, Paige said. I have nothing prepared. Get to it, Ambassador. The school caught fire, Sydney said, which can't slow down the welcome week. Oh, do we want to take out the?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. The school caught fire, Sydney said, which can't slow down welcome week. We're already a day behind the original timeline, and we can't afford to postpone the FEW again. Paige spoke through gritted teeth. This is the day you get. Adapt the plan or surrender the time. Sydney glared at Paige, letting go of Andre's hand to cross her arms as though really wanting to emphasize her level of displeasure. It's a matter of logistics, Paige said. After this morning, after the school caught fire, we're already going to have to reconsider any element with faculty involvement. Sydney sighed and turned to me. Are you a morning person? Being a morning person would imply sleep happening at some point during the night. I'm out of bed early, I said. Then, Sydney narrowed her eyes, shifting her focus back to Paige. We can do a breakfast with the student committee heads next week, which won't be as good as a picnic, but that's fine. Then, if we reschedule the faculty advisor coffee hour, and she joins the Widows Run committee and volunteers for the Widows Fete, she should have made contact with everyone she needs to know. Perfect, Paige actually gave a giddy little clap. Not everyone thrives on your kind of schedule, babe. Andre kissed the back of Sydney's hand. Don't overbook her. Right behind you, Jason's voice came from the hall. Tessa hopped out of the doorway, letting Jason pass with a massive tray laden with coffee cups, a plate piled with slices of cake, a second plate, this one with cookies, and a basket of rolls whose scent drowned out the thick floral aroma of the conservatory. Grab a table, Jason said. Paige ran behind the fainting couch, grabbing a shorter table I hadn't caught sight of from its place nestled between two massive ferns. I didn't get you coffee, Tessa, Jason said. I wasn't sure you were coming. I can leave, Tessa said. Why would you? Paige set the table right in front of our couch. I don't want to crash, Tessa said. I know this is for Welcome Week, which includes getting to know people, Paige said, the one who freed us from school included. My mouth watered as the scent of the rolls sank a hunger into my stomach I hadn't known in too long. What do you want to drink? Jason said. Iced green tea? Tessa said. Do you mind if I grab a roll? I said. I.e., I'm taking one of those rolls and I'll fight anyone who tries to block me from my bounty. The soup should be ready in a few minutes if you want to wait, Jason said. Fuck. I froze with the hand I'd unconsciously extended halfway to grabbing a roll. Be polite, Ella. Sure, I said. Sounds good. Sydney laughed. Add bad liar to your new student notes, Paige. If you don't want soup... No, I do. I cut Jason off. Don't cover, take the bad liar opening, lean into the universe's gift, and be known as the worst liar in Laureldale. I wrinkled my nose and willed my cheeks to blush. I'm so sorry. The rolls smell amazing, and binge-eating bread sounds like the sole equivalent of a spa day right now. Amen. Sorry, that's Chris speaking. Amen. Paige joined in Sydney's muffled laughter. I'm a terrible guest, I grimaced. Gran would at least be proud I'd owned up to it. Would have been. Would have been proud. Sorry, I added again. Jason smiled, shaking his head as he joined in with what was now everyone but Violet as they smothered their laughter. Mom can add it to the daily specials. It's really fine. Eat the bread. Paige handed me the basket of rolls. They're even better than they smell. You'll dream of them for the rest of your life. I know. The tourist reviews say so. Are you sure? I wrinkled my nose at Jason as tension squeezed the bit of my sternum just below my collarbone, where the source of need always seemed to thrum whenever I hit the edge of diving after food like a feral cat. I'll grab one more fork for cake, one green tea, and another basket of rolls. Jason headed for the door. Is your mom coming out to meet Ella? Paige asked. I don't know if she can, but she told me to tell her as soon as I could fit the Argo into Ella's schedule, Paige said. She has to at least come out for a quick help. Jason glanced back, his expression barely tightening as he gave Paige a tiny shake of his head. Paige's eyes widened as she altered course mid-sentence. Helping of welcome cheer? The pitch of her voice rose at the end, swinging up like a question. Sure. His neck tensing enough to make the muscles on the side stand out, Jason calmly headed His neck tensing enough to make the muscles on the side stand out, Jason calmly headed out the door. Try the rolls, Sydney said slightly too loudly for her "let me distract you" subtext to be discreet. I set the basket in my lap and tore open one of the rolls. Its luscious aroma thickened as I exposed the still warm center. Sydney craned her neck, checking the doorway was clear before whispering, Is that something the rest of us need to be worried about? Babe, Andre said. You can't support friends if you don't know they need it, Sydney frowned at him. Asking if someone is okay is not the same as digging for gossip. I bit into the roll, letting myself sink into the buttery taste as though it might make sitting in the middle of this conversation less awkward. Had food always been capable of tasting this good, and I'd just forgotten? Paige shot an awkward glance, not at me, at Violet. Maybe the couple I'd seen having bad sex in the corner had been doing some ritual to grant the Argo unmatched baking powers. Probably not, but I'd buy it. It's not a big thing, Tessa said, saving Paige from whatever anxiety cycle had her chewing her lips. Mrs. Archer gets really worried about Jason. If she heard the school was on fire, she probably freaked herself out. Suspiciously close to accurate. I took another bite of the roll, savoring the hint of honey in the dough. Can you blame her? Sydney took an iced tea and a cookie from the tray. There was a literal fire in our school. She looked to the door again, hesitating for a moment before whispering to Tessa, "Anything from the chief?" Tessa shook her head. "Damn," Sydney whispered. Paige took the 2 cappuccinos from the tray, giving one to me and walking the other over to Violet. "Post-trauma coffee?" She held the cup out to Violet, her smile slowly shriveling as the werewolf ignored the coffee to keep her gaze locked with Paige's. I shoved the rest of my roll into my mouth, barely resisting cramming one into my pocket in case shit hit the fan and running for my life became the good option. "If you don't want to be here, you can leave." There wasn't any anger, disgust, or anything remotely unwelcoming in Paige's voice. "After the morning we've had, wanting to go home is normal. I can put this in a to-go cup." "Are you asking me to leave?" "I'm giving you an out. Coming to the Argo was not a part of your Welcome Week path plan. You made me sign a form promising I'd attend every Welcome Week event." Violet kept ignoring the coffee. "This can be an exemption. Or better yet, we can have an Oops, the School's on Fire gathering part 2 and go to your family's place." A glint of malice returned to Violet's eyes as she finally just took the damn cup from Paige. "I'm not a dried-out old shit who crumbles over challenging conditions. I'm a part of this team, and I'll do my fucking job." Shit. No idea what the fuck I'm missing, but I'm fairly sure shit is the minimum estimate of bad. Jason walked back into the conservatory, the cheer on his face even less believable than when he'd left. "Besides," Violet kept talking, "Ella lives up my way. I can drive her back up the mountain." "No!" Enjoy how I read her thoughts. "No!" A panic deeper than the prospect of being stuck in a car with a werewolf screamed through my head. "It wouldn't be fair to ask Archer to drive her across Willow Creek," Violet said. "Great. A vendetta, and somehow I just got used as a power... Ooh, I'd, right? Yeah. Great. A vendetta, and somehow I'd just gotten... What? Nope, I'm an idiot.
No, you're not. You are doing your very best.
I'm doing my best.
I'm so proud of you.
I'll drink to that, thank you.
I'll drink to that. Okay, continue.
All right. Great. A vendetta, and somehow I just got used as a power play. No idea why, no idea who did what to who. But even Paige's rapid chewing of her lips promised Violet's veiled insult hit hard, as the wolf's smile drifted into something close to real, and I swear I heard Jason's teeth grind together. "I actually really enjoyed walking to school this morning." I contemplated taking a sip of my cappuccino and changed my mind in the same instant, stopping my hand with just enough... I contemplated taking a sip of my cappuccino and changed my mind in the same instant, stopping my hand with just enough of a twitch to slop coffee into the basket on my lap, bespoiling the precious rolls. I might just wander my way back to Kate's. "That's not a thing," Sydney said as Jason said, "I'm happy to give her a lift," and Paige said, "Let's not think about breaking up the party yet, right guys?" How the hell had my puking in the trees lost its place as most awkward moment of the day? "This is Kindness Path Day, so Sydney, you're up." Paige dodged back to the couch and sat beside me like she had launched herself to safety in a game of posh pastry-filled tag. "Right." Sydney set her iced tea aside. "Right. Does the Argo have a projector we can use?" "It's mounted on the ceiling out front," Jason said. "Right. That's okay." Sydney grabbed her glass and took another sip. "Right. Totally fine." Another sip. "Then gather around, children. We're going to watch the slideshow on my phone since the fire crew wouldn't let me go back in to get my laptop from my locker." "Of course they wouldn't," Tessa said. "Did you actually make a slideshow?" Jason said. "Did you actually just ask?" Andre said. Jason squeezed the second tray of treats onto the table beside the first and sat on the floor, leaning against the arm of the couch beside Paige. He tucked his knees to his chest, comically accentuating his massive wall-like frame as he made room for Andre and Sydney to slide by and sit on the floor in front of the couch. "So, the first few slides are going to be a little hard to read since they're text-heavy, but I can tell you what they say." Sydney took a sugar caddy from the center of the larger tray, leaning her phone against it like a little easel. "What I really want you to gain from this presentation is an appreciation of how many opportunities there are to volunteer within our school and community, while giving a deep understanding of the personal benefits that can be gained through volunteerism." "Wow," Tessa whispered. "Violet, are you joining?" Sydney swiped open her phone screen. "The form said participation in all events, Violet." Sorry. What could have been considered a hint of humor tightened the wolf's scowl as she stood and cut around to stand behind the couch where she could easily attack any of us. Slide 1, Sydney read out. Laureldale, where kindness is key. The students of Laureldale High School have a long and respected reputation as the magic behind everything that makes our town great. She tapped her phone's screen, cueing the next slide. I choked on my cappuccino as the words, Laureldale Magic, sparkled across the screen, their shimmer settling into the silhouette of a golden ram. Fancy, Paige said. Potentially too accurate. Jason twisted toward me. Lightning shot from my belly button to my throat at the sudden panic that I might have accidentally spoken out loud. He held out a napkin, widening his eyes as he spoke. If you're not up to staying, did Paige actually make you all sign a form? I took the napkin. It wasn't one page either, Andre said. Which was why I didn't volunteer, Tessa said. Are we going to do my slideshow or dissect Paige's neuroses? Sydney asked. Even the Argo doesn't have enough coffee to power the team it would take to analyze me, Paige said. Continue the presentation. Great, Sydney cleared her throat. Our student body is the workforce behind all 31 annual events in the park. Excessive community bonding, check. We also organize the biannual community cleanups, school events, provide holiday support to local seniors, organize seasonal food drives, and so much more. Sydney cued a new slide. A square with the words, The Faces, took over the screen before fading into an image of a smiling girl. Kennedy Williams is the student liaison to the park committee. Everything park event related will go through Kennedy, though, of course, I'm always happy to answer questions. She can seem a little unapproachable, but it's really just an unfortunate combination of social anxiety and resting bitch face. Oh my god, that really is what's wrong with her, Tessa said. Yep, Sydney said. But she's shockingly better with old people, so the park committee is a great fit. Andre squeezed Sydney's hand in a loving way that had me shoving a cappuccino-tainted roll into my mouth, which actually wasn't the worst thing, before I could slip into contemplating emotions. New slide. This time, I recognized the face. The flustered boy whose hand had grazed mine in the hall. His smiling picture made the idea of him as the screaming mess I'd seen in the vision seem absurd. But I'd seen nicer people end up in worse places. Noah, co-chair of the Gay Straight Alliance, Sydney said. He's in charge of the LGBT Author Fest. Is he, though? Paige said. Did he bail? Sydney asked. Nope, Paige said. Just asked me to help him with a few tasks, which turned out to be every damn thing that needs to be done for the festival to happen, but that's fine. You don't sound like it's fine. Jason lifted the basket from my lap, replacing it with the fresh, unsullied trove of rolls. Sorry, just venting. Paige shook out her shoulders. Am I going to have to be the one to point out that you only have yourself to blame? Sydney wrinkled her nose. If you say you were expecting better from him, I'm going to have to doubt your sanity. People grow, Paige said. Not that much, Sydney said. Never that much, Tessa said. Why? What did he do? I said. Super subtle, Ella. I mean, did he do something awful, or do you all know each other that well? Lame save, but I managed it. There are 3 daycares and preschools in town, and one of everything else, Tessa said. Most of us have been in school together since kindergarten. Not everyone, Paige dove in, but enough to make being the only one who doesn't know about Noah and the 5th grade parade lonely. Sydney tapped to a new screen, which is why we all agreed to Paige's way too involved plan. A picture of a girl took up the next slide. If you're not an outdoorsy person, this is someone you want to avoid. I tore off a chunk of a new lukewarm roll, trying to convince myself I was still enjoying the taste as I studied each of the people Sydney had deemed worthy of the outsider's notice. 5th grade. Noah had done something in 5th grade, and they were still holding it against him. A town this small, with this many Etherians? How did anyone not know there was a witch, a dryad, a banshee, a pack of wolves, and who the hell knows what else up the mountain? At least 3 Etherians in my year at school. But how many in town? Kate had to know how many of us lived in Laureldale. I didn't absorb anything else from Sydney's presentation, which didn't end until 2 servers from the cafe came to kick us out so they could prep the conservatory for the afternoon rush. Jason offered to move us to the 2nd floor. Paige begged us all to come to her house. Andre saved my ass by offering the mind-stopping insight that I seemed like an introvert and maybe letting me go home would be for the best. The rest of them looked at me, even Violet, staring like they were waiting for me to The rest of them looked at me, even Violet, staring like they were waiting for me to make some life-altering choice. Kate would be wondering if I was okay. Kate would want to check in with me after a long day. Kate would tell me not to make excuses for needing to curl up in bed and dig my fist into my stomach until the vague ache of anger that anyone should be so fucking worried about park flower maintenance when murders and monsters frolicked fucking free in this world faded into a pain I could pretend was closer to grief I'd gotten used to.
I'm sorry.
I missed
my paragraphs are so wrong.
It's fine.
I'm
We're leaving that
sorry.
in. We're leaving that in so that you can all suffer with me. Okay.
I write paragraph long sentences and it drives me crazy.
Hold on. Let's just take a look at this. Let's see how many 65 words. 65 words in one sentence, Faulkner. All right, here we go.
But I like them all.
Okay, no, it's good. It's good.
You got it. You got it. Pump it up.
All right,
Okay.
here we go. All right. Kate would tell me not to make excuses for needing to curl up in bed and dig my fist into my stomach until the vague ache of anger that anyone should be so fucking worried about park flower maintenance when murders and monsters frolicked fucking free in this world faded into a pain I could pretend was closer to the grief I'd gotten used to. Thank you. I actually think I'm going to call it and walk back to Kate's. I gave an apologetic wince to Paige as I stood, angling myself for a clearer shot at the door. This has been really great, but tap out. Jason sprang to his feet in a way that didn't seem possible considering how tightly he'd been scrunched up by the couch. You run for my car. I'll grab more rolls and dodge out the back. Paige smacked him on the shin. Don't make it sound like she's a prisoner. Perfect. I'll just saunter out the front then. I backed a step toward freedom. Thank you, all. Don't do real emotions. Don't let the wall break. This has been really great. The pinch in the front of my throat any hint of kindness can somehow trigger cut off my voice, freeing me from the moral obligation to try and say a better thank you as I waved and pivoted toward the door. Do you want more rolls in the basket? Jason said. Fuck. Roll basket in one hand, half-eaten roll in the other. Hadn't noticed either. Sorry, I turned back, feeling an unintentional flush flooding my cheeks. Don't be sorry. Jason grinned, like my clutching the basket was a compliment rather than theft. Oh, that should actually be were. Kids, we're going to talk about subjunctive. No, we're not. Don't be sorry. Jason grinned, like my clutching the basket were a compliment rather than theft. Do you want more? No. I set the basket on a side table near the door. Thank you. Then I'll skip the kitchen and we can both go out through the cafe. Jason headed toward the door. I'm really happy to walk, I said. I forgot. I have both your stuffed rams in my car. Paige cut the long way around the back of the couch, heading to follow me and Jason out the door. But werewolves don't just get to pull off supernatural shit during the full moon. Violet beat Jason and Paige to me without even seeming to move quickly. No running, no extra swing to her arms, just a few steps that moved her farther than a human stride ever would. I pass her driveway, Violet said. I'll drop her off. I really want to walk. I met the wolf's gaze, not leaving any room for misunderstanding as I took a step away from her. You shouldn't. Jason closed the gap between us. Fuck off, Archer. Violet grabbed my wrist, gripping hard enough to bruise bone as she marched me through the cafe like I was the one who'd set the school on fire and forced her into the Argo. And thus ends Chapter 8. We did it.
I'm so proud of us.
Okay, so let's talk about a few things. The first thing I want to do before I forget about it is I actually really love, and I don't know if this is why you set this in the cafe, but I love how you kind of show here the healing power of food. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's something that we take for granted, especially in America, because like something I was told growing up is that in other countries, they eat to live. And in America, we live to eat. Guilty. I love food. I can't wait to go to Food and Wine Fest at Epcot. Or anyway, that's neither here nor there. But is that something that you were trying to show, like gently put in there as like, because so has she not enjoyed food since her family died?
Not really, no.
Okay, so then are these roles this healing? Is this a parallel of the friendship that she is now finding herself surrounded by? is this one of the moments where the curtains are green? And by the way, in case we didn't talk about this, the curtains are green. That's just when I say that, what I'm meaning is sometimes an author makes the curtains green just because they're green, not because they're trying to showcase envy or something like that. Sometimes I read too much into things. So am I reading too much into this?
No, it's not particularly like the healing power of food, but it's like there's enough good, not bad, stressful things happening around her that her brain can process things like wanting food.
Okay.
So her brain's distracted enough by happy things, or if not necessarily happy, like non-dire, everyone's in danger things, that like she can take a bite of food and swallow it without feeling like the world's going to crumble.
Okay.
So it's really not about the food. It's about that kind of gentle companionship.
Okay, and the food just kind of epitomizes that, or?
No, the food is just like she's distracted enough that food is good.
Okay. All right, good to know.
And also, I really like carbs, so it had to be bread.
No, that's fair. I mean, I really like cheese. And as you have once said, everything is just a cheese delivery vehicle.
Yes,
that's
everything,
all it is.
In the end, it is.
That's in the end. That is all everything
Life
is.
is just a cheese delivery vehicle.
So a couple of other things I want to touch on, and sticking to the food motif for right now. Jason, I did not notice this the first time, but then we had a conversation, and I don't know if you want to touch on this at all, but Jason does not ask Paige's preference about coffee. And I was like, oh, that's because, and initially my thought was, oh, so she just gets the same thing every time that she comes in. But then reading it through this time, I came at it from a different angle. Do you want to talk about that at all or no?
Sure. It's not really a spoiler. It hasn't come up yet, but
I think it's interesting.
But Paige and Jason used to date, but it's also like he doesn't take her coffee order, but he also doesn't take Sydney or Andre's coffee order.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
He knows what all of them like.
Yeah.
Because they're his friends. They're there all the time. Yeah. So he knows what they get when they're at the Argo. So
she's just like the first one that we see that happen to. And so I didn't. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, for them, that is because they dated. They were best friends and then they dated and now they're really good friends again. So it's like he knows what she's going to order.
I love they were able to hold on to that. And I also, because I'm thick, did not catch on to the bit that Paige is the one who speaks up about Noah not actually being in charge of LGBT stuff. And I was like, oh, right, because she is a lesbian. So that makes a lot of sense now. I get
Which
that.
also hasn't come up yet, but that is just like Paige, just, she is a lesbian.
Right.
Hence the reason why she and Jason aren't together anymore.
Poor Jason.
Poor Jason.
I feel like you all, like, at least in our field.
You fall in love with your best friend.
In musical theater, we hear about this all the time, but it's usually from a woman's perspective, and then she finds out that her boyfriend is gay, and it's just like that happens a lot.
Jason and Paige are best friends. He falls in love with his best friend.
I just said finds out. I apologize. Let me remedy that. It's not finds out, but is comfortable enough with who they are to now share that with the world, I guess would be a better way to say that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And to have the self-realization?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, self-awareness.
But yes, so they were together. Then they are not together because Paige is a lesbian.
Yeah.
So, but they are good friends.
It's so adorable.
So he fell in love with her. It didn't work out.
So I wanted to go to... I have this note in the document, the glare, LOL. So there was a part while we were editing this today, and I'm just going to say it because I always do, about an hour before we started doing this podcast.
No, it was
put
about
that on your
2
bingo.
hours.
Okay, look, I'm trying to give them a bingo card, okay?
We should make a bingo card.
We should make page by page bingo cards. This is a great idea.
That's what we should do. As like an episode 15 or something, we should make a bingo card. Yes, we're going to do it.
I love that. Okay, we're going to do it. All right, I'm leaving that to you to remember, the one with the brain injury. You have
okay, wait,
remember that.
Write it down real quick.
All right, I'm writing it down.
While he's writing it down real quick, here's a funny thing. Okay, let's keep going.
Did you forget it?
No, I was hoping that I'd come up with something on the fly, and it just didn't happen.
Your poor brain.
My poor brain has been through so much. Okay, continue.
Okay, so hold on, let me check at this.
This is why I can't podcast by myself anymore. TBI puss lupus flare brain is not.
Yeah, okay. So I don't want to spoil things since we don't know which path you'll choose. You had, what was it? It was something like, I don't want to spoil things since we don't know which path you'll choose next. And then you had what we call a drama dash there. So we have drama dots, which is just ellipses, and then a drama dash, which what we use are horizontal bars. And for the writers listening, this is actually something we learned when she was in trad publishing. Instead of using an N dash or an M dash, if you use a horizontal bar, it actually stops line breaks from happening. So it keeps everything together. So it'll have a word, a bar, a word, instead of having a word and then just an errant dash on the next line. Very, very useful. So look up horizontal bars. They are your best friend. What I had to go off on that because we're talking about editing a little bit. But you had, I don't want to spoil things since we don't know which path you'll choose next or something like that. And then a dash. And I went, hold on, that doesn't work. And you're like, no, but the dash picks up on like the next paragraph. I was like, yes, but it's not. It's ending a complete thought. Like it's not interrupting a thought. No, but it's not. But it was still a complete thought. The sentence continued. No, see, and this is where as an editor, I put my foot down and say that doesn't make sense.
But it does.
In your brain, it does. But if you want it to actually span
but if it's the
galaxy.
Okay, because I get it. Because it's not in one paragraph, so you can't do the little drama dashes and have just your little action insert. Right. I get it. It's too long.
And so that's it. That's where you hit it. It's because it's too separated. Yes.
So you wouldn't let me.
And it doesn't fit our style guide. We have a style guide that has pervaded all 31 of your published novels. We're not going to
When you say pervaded, it doesn't sound like a good thing.
Crap. Well, whatever. This is why you're the author. Okay. So I just wanted to bring that up because that was one of the ones where I won.
Yes, you did win that one. But you specifically have in your notes the glare.
I do. Yeah, because you glared at me when I was like, no, this has to be this way. And so you wrote it the way that I finally accepted it. And the whole time I was reading it and going, that's good. That's good. You were like, anyway, it was just quite funny. Okay, let me check this document, see what else I wanted to talk about in here before I get to my other notes. Oh, yeah, so this is interesting. And this actually ties in a little bit to what I wanted to talk about next. But a homeschooler, that's you were homeschooled from 6th grade on, right? Mm-hmm. And that's just because the schools around you were not.
Yeah,
that was not a place you were going to go.
It was not an academically
the fact
sound situation.
That it was a school in the 90s when you had metal detectors and stuff like that, and it was just that it was Yeah. Anyway, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole, but it's interesting now, and I want to get your thoughts on this. But seeing your take on public school as a homeschooler, and you do a great job, like having attended public school my entire childhood. This reminds me a lot of how it was.
Because the thing is, even though I was homeschooled, I had friends who were in high school, in public and private high school. Right. I went to a high school prom. Like I did all those things.
Yes, I forgot about that.
In theater in high schools. Like I knew high school buildings. I knew that vibe. Mm-hmm. It's just there are little details about actual high school life that don't quite process for me. So in this one, we were talking about would it be Laureldale High and like the community volunteer programs at Laureldale High, or would it be Laureldale High, or would it be Laureldale High School? Because it can't just be Laureldale because that's the name of the town. But it's that difference of like, would it be high or high school? Yeah. That I'm like, what is like a weird trope that sounds catchy on television? And so that's just how it is in my brain now.
But the thing is...
And how it's actually said.
But that is a way that it is said. And what I said to her was that the high school I went to was called Northside. So I would have just said Northsides. But then I was like, oh, and I thought it as she said it. She's like, but you can't just say Laureldales. I was like, no, you're right.
Because it's specific
like
the school.
And she was like, but I don't want to say high schools. And I was like, no, I get that.
Because that sounds clunky.
Yeah, I was like, so no, I think that Laureldale High is fine. Like,
but those are like the details of like public school that I have to really look into, and like which classes are taught which years that I have to make sure that I actually get right.
Yeah. So that leads me into this. Just speaking of like the public school life, this I think, and you can disagree with me, but I think that Sketchbook so far has been the deepest into actual teenagedom and teenage drama that you have ever gone. I don't think I've ever, like the tethering, this does not happen because they're not in a typical school scenario, right? Same thing with Girl of Glass, Heart of Smoke, Ember and Stone. How I Magically Messed Up, yes, but you don't see him in school a lot. You don't see him just Bryant hanging out with his school friends. He's got 2 friends that he hangs out with, and that's it.
Yeah, but have you seen Ella in school a lot?
No, I haven't, but I have not seen like just the typical teen drama that I grew up with. Like I had werewolves in my hometown. I don't know about you. But no.
I wouldn't have doubted it.
Yeah. Well, it is the closest I have felt to being in a high school in your books. Is there a particular reason that you were going that direction as opposed to something, let's draw the nearest comparison would probably be How I Magically Messed Up, because we see Bryant in school more than we see any of your other characters in that kind of environment, even in like Grace in Cursebound Thief, because we don't see her a lot in her school.
So the thing with Bryant is that the primary location for the drama is really in Belleville most of the time,
right,
or in other parts of Manhattan. But because of the way that Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer is formatted around the mystery element and the Watcher and all the different ways that these people are connecting in the town, the only place that this sort of nexus of characters can happen is at the high school.
Okay.
Because there is no other way to connect Ella to Jason, to connect Ella to Paige, to connect this to that, to this
right.
to that. Like all of those intersections at this point in her time in Laureldale really have to happen at school. And because I don't love everything happening in schools.
Sure.
As she gets farther into knowing characters and knowing Laureldale, we can get further away from having everything there. But it's kind of like the beginning of the Guilds of Ilbrea books. Mm-hmm. In that beginning, everything is happening in the capital city of Alara because we have to start everyone in one place that we can spread them out.
Right,
so
right.
Right
so you have
now,
your hub.
Yeah, so right now the school is the hub,
Yeah.
and I want to spend less. I mean, obviously we're going to have to keep going back to it because, there's a first frost ball. So you've got to keep going to the school.
Yeah.
But I want to spend less time there as the series goes on because I want this world of Laureldale and even the surrounding towns and other parts of it to be explored more. So that does mean naturally pushing away from the school.
Sorry, I could not help but to kind of wander off in thought as you were talking because I was thinking through.
I'm glad
I was
I'm
like,
captivating.
It's not that. No. It's, oh my goodness. No, that's not what I'm saying. I have like non-ADHD. I might, but so it started spinning the wheels in my brain when you were talking about a hub location, and I started thinking about other books that either do or don't. And then I started thinking about your books. And I was like, okay, wait. So hub locations for your books, like the Domes, that's a hub location, right? The Mansion House and Tethering, that's a hub location. And then you've got your hub location here. But then you look at stuff like Heart of Smoke, that doesn't really have a hub location, at least not for book one. And then How I Magically, like, I guess Belleville, kind of.
It
Anna
switches from book to book.
Like, not so much, at least in the beginning.
Well, no, but because Anna's hub where she begins her journey with, so in the Anna Ilbrea series, where she begins her journey with the Blackbloods, who are the elemental magic users in Ilbrea.
In the encampment.
At the encampment.
Yeah.
So the rest of it is her journey to reach the hub. So that's where she starts learning to fight. It's where romances start. It's where friendships start. It's where all of that sort of training ground centers.
Yeah.
So that she has the knowledge, the relationships, everything that she needs to move forward.
Yeah.
So it's just, Anna has a first day of school at the encampment.
With
it's
Katie.
Just we see the run up to it. So in Anna's case, we see she
just has to travel through a literal haunted hell before she gets there.
It's not a literal haunted hell.
It's literally haunted.
Yes,
and I would say that it's pretty hellacious.
Yes, it's not a literal haunted hell.
Okay, sorry. It's a literally haunted, hellacious
nightmare.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, but it's not like go down the steps to hell. Find a haunted place.
Good.
I should not be allowed to record with this much migraine medicine in my system.
No, you absolutely should. And by the way, I want to clarify that was not in any way a critique of like you using hubs or not using hubs. It just was fascinating to me. I was like, I've never thought about that with your books actually before. Sorry, that's where my brain is.
Maybe it's just how my brain works, but it's that spoke building to me that makes the most sense to expand.
No,
the world
I think it's great.
And keep the audience with me as I do it.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. So the last thing that I wanted to touch on, but I don't know how deep we can go into this. You gave me, so I have some knowledge. No, 20 years later, I can still make you nervous. But that there was something that you gave me for Violet and Jason's relationship in order for the acting. That's not something we're going to talk about right now, right? That's something that will probably unfold. I'm assuming we're going to hear a little bit about it in the next chapter.
Yes.
Okay, great. So because Violet just kidnapped Ella, let's just call it what it is.
She did not kidnap her.
She kidnapped Ella. She is taking her against her will.
She claimed
We can't use that in paranormal. Claiming in paranormal means something very different.
That is not like this.
I mean, like, I'm all about it, but I don't think that's what's going on.
That is you're right. In the paranormal world, I just use that term. But I think what I can say about what. Wait, let me think through this really carefully.
Okay, no, it's okay. You think through it. While you're thinking through this, I want to say again, thank you there was a gentleman. I am so sorry I don't have your card on me and I do not remember your name currently. It was a long day and my brain is so tired. But there was a gentleman from a writing club in Pottstown, PA that came up and wanted to hear about our journey going into the indie publishing world with 31 published novels. Not moving 31 published novels into the indie world, but your journey from being trad into indie and how many books you have published since. So I'm stoked. It was so cool going to the Comic-Con, and that's one of the things I love most is making these connections and getting to meet friends, like old friends. And Brittany said today, she's like, I feel like we've been friends forever. And I was like, I totally felt the same. It's so neat when you meet people like that. And a lot of it's because we've had like back and forths on your Facebook page, but it was just so easy to pick up. Like, of course we're
Megan and
friends.
Russell's Fantasy Seekers on Facebook is my author Facebook group, and you should come hang out with us there because we have the Substack, we have the Vella, and then we have the Facebook group, which is a little more informal because I can post like memes and stuff on there, and sometimes we do things like post your favorite pet picture, and then we have like a pet picture contest for a free book. Like, we just have fun, we hang out, it's super chill. So if you're a Facebook person, Megan and Russell's Fantasy Seekers, hang out. Okay, so I figured out what I can say.
Okay, great. So go ahead.
So the stakes between Jason and Violet are very much a part of the story.
Yeah.
They are on two very different levels.
Okay.
One of which is sort of in the territorial, like, sure, Violet, come into my house, the Argo. And the other is, yes, I'll murder you. And both of those reactions actually fits with the offense. Okay.
Even knowing what I know, I'm like, the wheels are turning again. I'm like,
Wait, did I say that in a super weird way that makes no sense?
I don't think so. Like you had a subject verb conjugation that wasn't quite right in it, and I'll edit that later. No, I'm kidding. But otherwise, no, I don't think so.
Jason being like, that's pretty, like, look at your audacity being
subject
in my
verb
house.
Agreement. I'm an idiot.
Fits.
Right.
And Violet being like, I'll rip your throat out. Fits.
Right.
So everyone's reaction is at the appropriate level.
Okay.
Is what I can say.
Okay. And there's a reason that everybody else around them is like, yeah. Yeah, I even love that she calls that out. It's like, I shoved the rest of my roll in my mouth, like that was going to make the situation less awkward, or the conversation I was sitting in between less awkward. But I mean, that had to do with Jason's mom's reaction and all that stuff, which I'm excited to hear more about their relationship too, because that's
Jason and his mom.
Well, and his dad. Like, there's a lot of tension there. Yeah.
But that's kind of the thing, is that because I want to build this world of Laureldale and all of these characters into this really big world so that I can have this story where there are lots of characters for people to love and to root for.
Yeah.
And it's not just Ella that people really care about. It's kind of building out that characterscape.
Yeah.
Has taken a lot of my page time so far. But I'm really happy with where the characters are at this point and which characters are sort of coming in next. But at this point, we have most of our primary cast is like, we are at least getting to know their vibe. And so I'm excited to be at that point.
Yeah, me too.
Because it feels like I can start diving further into things. But I keep thinking that, and then I forgot that there were in fact 2 chapters at the Argo. So, I'm doing a great job.
No, it's great. It's great. I'm just hoping that we come across the Watcher in the next chapter so that we can finally premiere the new Watcher music, because we still haven't talked about that. Megan made me rewrite the Watcher music. She didn't like it. So
it was a little too psycho killer.
Right. It was
more like the psycho movies.
It wasn't
like
quite right. And I even said that at the time when I composed it. I was like, this doesn't feel quite right. I don't know why.
Ding, ding.
Okay,
Now
this
I
is
feel like
not
I
a
should
Dexter
cook
podcast.
breakfast.
Oh my goodness.
Breakfast. I can't talk.
Well,
Okay.
it is. We are at time. So
Yes, so please, thank you for bearing with us through post-Flare Lupus edition of the Page by Page podcast.
and post Comic-Con, Chris's brain is just
So please subscribe, follow, all those good things. If you are listening on a platform that allows you to leave a comment, please do leave a comment, even if it just says, hi, I'm a comment. Do it. I would love to see some hi, I'm a comments. Come on over and join us in my Megan and Russell Fantasy Seekers group on Facebook. Remember, you can read the chapters on Substack. There are also more blogs going up on Substack.
Kindle Vella.
Yes, the chapters are also up on Kindle Vella. There are some really fun blog posts going up on Substack. So even if you don't want to read the chapters on there, there's some more cool world info. So yeah, check it all out. And cheers to next week with a perkier, more on top of it brain. I just realized how crooked my thumbs are. We really need to go.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that is definitely it for us. So until next time, thank you for reading.
Thank you.